It was midnight. A handsome man was still fast asleep in his bed. His face looked peaceful, yet every now and then, his brow furrowed. His sleep was restless, as if a nightmare had come back to haunt him. I'm scared, they're going to kill me, Oppa. The 16-year-old boy panicked at the sound of his sister's voice. He gripped his phone tightly. Where are you? Tell me. I'm coming right now. Don't be scared, I'm going to protect you. His voice was rushed, bordering on desperation. But before his sister could answer, a loud gunshot rang out. ICA. The voice cut off. Hello, YNA. In. Can you hear me? He screamed hysterically, his blood running cold. A stranger's cold voice echoed from the phone. Get rid of the body. Then, the line went dead. No. The man jolted awake with a scream that shattered the silence of the night. His chest heaved as he gasped for air. Beads of sweat poured down his temples, his face pale as if he had just escaped a nightmare that was far too real. The dream was no mere nightmare. It was a dark memory Taehyung could never erase. The little girl in his dream was his younger sister, Kim Yn, who was only 10 years old when she was kidnapped and found dead in a gruesome state 14 years ago. Her body was shattered, her face disfigured, and several of her organs were missing. To this day, the South Korean police have never found the perpetrator. Forgive me for not being able to protect you, he muttered raspily, his fists clenching tightly. But I promise, I will never stop hunting down that monster. The next morning, Kim Taehyung sat in the living room with his best friend and business partner, Park Jimin. A steaming cup of black coffee sat in front of him, though he wasn't really enjoying it. Well, Taehyung opened the conversation, his tone flat yet sharp. Did you find the ones who stole our stuff from the warehouse? Jimin nodded. Yeah, we've got them locked up in the basement right now. 3 of them, 2 adult women around 33, and a younger one, 24. Taehyung raised an eyebrow. All 3 are women. His tone clearly conveyed his irritation. The warehouse guards are all armed men. How the hell did they get in? And to make matters worse, you guys only caught them on the 5th day, he said, visibly annoyed. Jimin let out a long sigh, as if bracing himself for the lecture. They're smart, Tae. They managed to outsmart the guards and slip inside. But whatever, you'd better see for yourself. You can do whatever you want with them. Kill them right now or do something else, it's up to you. Jimin smirked slightly. Oh, by the way, Tae, out of the 3 women, there's only one who hasn't said a word. Didn't try to flirt, didn't fight back, didn't even try to defend herself. She's the youngest one. Looks real innocent, quiet, and crazy attractive. Taehyung shot a piercing glare at his friend. Once a player, always a player, he mocked coldly. Hey bro, this isn't about me being a player or not. I'm just saying, be careful. Don't end up falling for her yourself, Jimin teased with an annoying grin. Taehyung just rolled his eyes, not bothering to reply. Cut the crap. I want to see the faces of the people who dared to cross me. Upon arriving at the illicit drug warehouse, Taehyung and Jimin halted in front of a heavy iron door that led down to the basement. The damp, musty air hit their nostrils, mingling with the sharp, pungent stench of narcotics. They descended the stairs with firm, steady steps. The Mafia world was in their blood. The drug trade was merely one source of their dirty money. Behind the scenes, they ran various other illegal operations, the most feared being their syndicate of contract killers. Before their feet even hit the bottom floor, the trembling sobs of a woman echoed in their ears. Please, sir, I'm begging you, let us go. We really don't have any money. We only took a few of those drugs, please, a faint, terror-stricken voice pleaded from one of the 3 trapped women. Shut up. Your mouth hasn't stopped running since we got here. Don't you ever tire of talking? I'm sick of listening to you. Snapped the guard watching over them. His irritated bark instantly silenced her, leaving her tears to fall without a sound. Taehyung and Jimin finally stepped into the room. The atmosphere instantly shifted, thick with tension as every pair of eyes turned toward them. Move, Taehyung's voice cut through the air, cold and sharp as a blade. Instinctively, the guards in the room bowed their heads in deep respect. Sajangnam, one of them murmured with a low bow, quickly scrambling out of the way to clear a path. Taehyung strode forward deliberately, his black shoes clicking against the cold basement floor. His piercing gaze locked onto the three women kneeling before him. Two of them were visibly shaken, trembling wildly with pale faces the moment they laid eyes on the man standing over them. Meanwhile, the third woman remained dead silent, her head bowed as though she were swallowing her fear whole. Sir, please set us free. We just needed the money. We didn't even take that many drugs, a woman in her early 30s broke the silence. Her voice quavered, her eyes wide with terror. Before the tension could settle, the second woman, Minju, spoke up in a begging tone, adding something that left everyone in the room stunned. I'm begging you, sir, please don't kill me. I'll do anything. I'll give you whatever you want, including my body. A few of Taehyung's men exchanged glances, caught between shock and amusement at the cheap offer. Jimin merely let out a low scoff, while Taehyung stared down at her expressionlessly. His face remained cold, but a flicker of disgust gleamed in his eyes. The Mafia was practically synonymous with nightlife and women, but Taehyung was not the type to lower his standards for just anyone. To him, a woman's body was not a plaything, least of all one who so eagerly bartered herself for her life. Above all, Taehyung loathed being touched by random women, especially a whore. His body was far too precious to be surrendered to cheap trash. Sir, please, Minju whimpered, her crying sounding more like a desperate attempt at flirting than genuine regret. Taehyung's gaze hardened even further, his lips curving into a faint, humorless smirk. Good. Keep talking. The more you run your mouth, the closer your death draws. Minju's face drained of all color. Her eyes widened in disbelief at how calmly the threat was delivered. Yet instead of shutting her mouth, she broke into desperate wails and frantic pleas. Sir, I'm sorry, please have mercy on me. I won't ever do it again. Taehyung bit back his annoyance. He shifted his gaze away from the two rambling women and brought it to rest on the young woman who had been keeping her head down the entire time. Her frame was small, her hands trembling as she clutched the hem of her clothes. You, at the far end. Taehyung's voice came out flat and firm. Raise your head. Not a single movement. The woman remained frozen, ducking her head even lower as if wishing to vanish from the world entirely. Yoon, raise your head. Do you want to die right here, huh? Minju hissed in frustration, trying to force her. Finally, with shaking hands, the young woman lifted her face. Tears had already soaked her cheeks. And in that split second, Taehyung froze. There was something about those deep black eyes, something he had never seen in any other woman before. It wasn't just raw fear, but a subtle, hidden resolve gleaming through her tears. Beg. Taehyung's voice dropped, cold and nearly void of emotion. The other two women clung to it like a sliver of hope. They hurriedly urged Yoon to speak up. Come on, ask for mercy. Maybe he'll let us go if you talk. Minju whispered desperately. Yoon swallowed hard, her voice faint yet clear. Will you set us free if I beg? Taehyung let out a cynical scoff, the corner of his lip curling into a cold smirk. Are you negotiating with me right now? Yoon shook her head frantically. No, but I'm hoping for certainty in exchange for my plea. Taehyung clenched his fist, a surge of conflicting emotions stirring inside him. For some reason, that response made his blood boil while simultaneously sparking a strange sense of admiration. Clever answer, he muttered. Beg. This time, Taehyung's voice rang louder, colder, and heavy with authority. Yoon bit her lower lip before raising her face once more. For the very first time, she dared to look straight into Taehyung's eyes. And at that moment, it felt as though the world had stopped turning. Taehyung found himself drowning in her gaze, those pitch-black irises, glistening and wet with tears, yet breathtakingly beautiful. Beautiful, Taehyung murmured to himself, almost unable to believe that a woman could make him lose his composure, even if only for a second. Yoon gathered the courage to speak again. Please forgive us, sir, my friends and I have caused you great harm. I know it's completely inappropriate and utterly shameless of me to ask for our freedom. But, I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive us and let us go. We promise we will never do it again. Her eyes were filled with desperate hope, even through her tears. Taehyung stared at her intensely, his dark, piercing eyes seeming to bore into her very soul. He fell silent for a moment, then uttered words that instantly froze the air in the room. What if I release your two friends, but not you? Yoon's tears fell once more. The young woman bowed her head deeper, her voice breaking as she answered, I would be deeply grateful if you released them. Taehyung lifted his head slightly, exuding his signature arrogance. Release the two women. Minju and the other woman widened their eyes in shock upon hearing the order, completely unable to believe their ears. Jimin, standing right beside Taehyung, leaned in quickly to object in a hushed whisper. Hey, are you crazy? People like them will definitely cause trouble again. We should just kill them right now. Besides, since when do you show mercy to people like this? Taehyung turned his head slightly, suppressing his irritation, and replied in a low, unwavering tone. I'm being merciful, not soft-hearted. Merciful in the sense that I'm not killing them here, today. His cold gaze cut toward the guards in the room. Take those two women out. The subordinates moved instantly to carry out the order. Jimin still eyed him suspiciously. Then what are you planning to do with the youngest one? He teased under his breath. Taehyung looked down for a second, his lips curving into a sinister smirk. I want to play around first. Jimin chuckled softly, throwing him a mocking look. You're actually interested in her? Since when does a woman-hating mob boss like you take an interest in a girl? Taehyung snapped his head toward him, his glare razor sharp. Keep your mouth shut. Their exchange remained barely audible, undetected by anyone else. Meanwhile, Minju glanced over at Yoon, a sly, mocking smile spreading across her lips. Looks like you were actually useful for once, Yoon. Enjoy your new life in the afterlife, she whispered with utter satisfaction. Yoon clenched her fingers tightly, fighting off the tremor that was consuming her body. A silent prayer echoed in her heart. Mom, I'm sorry. I just hope you'll always be okay. The image of her mother back in her hometown brought another wave of tears to her eyes. Taehyung, who had been standing there watching her, turned his attention back to Yoon. His eyes lingered, unexpectedly drawn to her Euro Street area, which appeared slightly damp. His brow furrowed. That specific spot on her clothing was visibly wet. However, rather than dwelling on his curiosity, Taehyung chose to brush it aside for the moment. Minju and Sujin were dragged away by Taehyung's men. Initially, the cold-blooded man had intended to finish them off on the spot. However, a different thought crossed his mind. He realized the two of them could still prove useful to him. So, instead of being killed, they were sent to his illicit drug facility hidden deep in the forest, in a remote region of Gangwon province. The factory was virtually untouched by the outside world, surrounded by dense trees and far removed from any residential areas. There, Minju and Sujin were forced into hard labor with zero chance of escape. Their already grim world was now buried even deeper within Taehyung's grip. Taehyung's residence. Well, do you have any information on that woman yet? Taehyung asked in a heavy voice, his sharp eyes locking onto his subordinate. Just 2 hours earlier, he had ordered someone to look into Yoon, the woman with the deep black eyes who, for some reason, had caught his attention. We do, boss, the subordinate answered quickly. Her full name is Choi Yoon, 24 years old. She's originally from Youngwal village. Her father passed away a long time ago, leaving her with just her mother and a sister. One of them, Choi Minju, the one we took to the factory. Taehyung narrowed his eyes. That's not all, boss. Yoon moved to Seoul a year ago with her sister and cousin. They were initially promised jobs, but in reality, their lives fell apart. They have no permanent residence and often resort to stealing to survive. As it turns out, they were living near our warehouse district. Yoon's relationship with Minju and Sujin isn't good either. In fact, it's quite the opposite. The two of them frequently took advantage of Yoon to make money. Taehyung raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? They used Yoon to distract people while they stole, including when they slipped into our warehouse. Taehyung let out a scoff and leaned back in his chair. Is there any record of her selling her body? No, boss. Yoon is completely clean on that front. The same goes for Minju and Sujin, they've never done anything like that either. They just steal. Taehyung went silent for a moment, then gave a slow nod. All right, you may leave. The subordinate bowed respectfully and quickly left the room. Just an ordinary woman, yet interesting, Taehyung muttered, tracing his lower lip as if brewing a scheme in his mind. However, his train of thought was broken when a voice called out. Taehyung ah. Taehyung turned his head, his eyes widening slightly. A BOG. A middle-aged man walked in with a faint smile and took a seat across from his son. So you are home. I thought you were busy at the office. I'm heading to the office this afternoon. It was just a small matter at the warehouse earlier. It's rare for you to drop by without giving me a heads up, Taehyung said, his tone warmer than before. I just wanted to keep you informed. Right now, the border territory is being contested by rival mafias. The land is fertile and rich in natural resources. Aren't you interested in taking a piece of the pie? Taehyung shook his head firmly. No, I already have plenty of business here, and our syndicate's territory is vast enough. I don't want to waste my energy. His father's eyebrows shot up. Since when have you been so easily satisfied, Taehyung? It's not about being easily satisfied, Taehyung replied, his voice calm yet cold. I just refuse to be greedy. As the saying goes, there is always a higher sky. If we get too greedy, it only leads to regret. His father nodded slowly, though his sharp gaze continued to evaluate his son. You're sleep deprived again, aren't you? As usual, Taehyung answered flatly. I still wake up in the middle of the night. Are you still dreaming about YN? I've told you time and time again, you'll never find peace until you let her go. His father's voice softened. I was heartbroken too, Tae. What father could bear the reality of his child being murdered in such a gruesome way? But I've learned to let go. And my life has been much more peaceful because of it. Taehyung clenched his fists. I can't. YN called me right before she was killed. Her voice. I still remember it so clearly, filled with sheer terror. As long as I haven't found the perpetrator, I will never be at peace. You're still looking for the killer? His father asked softly. Taehyung gave a firm nod. I will never stop. The corners of the older man's lips turned down. It's been 14 years, Tae. We don't even know if the culprit is still alive. Is it wrong for me to keep searching? I'm certain the killer is still alive, and I will find them. Taehyung's voice rang with fierce determination, his eyes flashing cold. His father could only let out a long sigh. I hope so. I gave up 5 years ago. The only way you'll ever find peace is by letting YN go. Have faith that she is happy wherever she is now. Taehyung lowered his head, his voice barely above a whisper. I hope so too. Silence hung over them for a few seconds before his father spoke up again. I'll be out of town for a month. Oh, by the way, your older sister is coming back next week. She mentioned she wants to stay here with you, she doesn't want to live alone in the main house. Taehyung merely gave a brief nod. In that case, I'll be on my way, the middle-aged man said, rising from his seat to leave the room. Taehyung was left alone once more, consumed by loneliness and his own thoughts, caught between a long festering vengeance and a growing curiosity about a woman named Yoon. Taehyung's study, private residence. Stacks of financial documents were neatly arranged on the massive mahogany desk, the crystal chandelier swaying gently, casting a dim light around the room. Taehyung was still busy reviewing his business reports. His eyes moved rapidly across the numbers, the pen in his hand occasionally making corrections. A light knock echoed from the door. "Come in," he said briefly without looking up. The door opened slowly, and one of the maids stepped in with hesitant steps. "Sir, Miss Yoon's grooming is complete," the maid said. Taehyung's head snapped up, his gaze locking onto the doorway. "Deg." Yoon stood at the threshold. Her delicate frame was draped in a black satin Ing Euro R. Euro, striking a stark contrast against her LK white, pale skin. Her long black hair cascaded freely, partially covering her shoulders and accentuating her slender neckline. Taehyung's eyes froze. A faint murmur escaped his lips, completely unbidden. "Beautiful." His gaze traced the curve of her shoulders, his fingers clenching into tight fists as if holding something back. He had never expected that beneath the tattered clothes and guarded demeanor he had seen earlier lay such. Taehyung gave a subtle gesture with his hand. The servants bowed and backed out of the room. Now, only he and Yoon remained, trapped in a study that felt increasingly suffocating in the silence. Yoon kept her head down, her fingers trembling as she clutched the hem of the Her heart hammered wildly against her ribs. The silence felt choking. As Taehyung began to step closer, her Euro at R intensified. Taehyung himself was powerless to look away. There was something different about Yoon. It wasn't merely physical beauty. He recalled the countless other women who had willingly SC at RD Euro D their clothes just to gain a place by his side. Yet, not a single one of them had ever managed to evoke a feeling quite like this. The faint scent of roses wafting from Yoon added an RR Euro S. Street. BL Euro P Micro LL. Taehyung felt as though an invisible thread was drawing him nearer. That face, those mysterious, pitch-black irises, the small lips trembling in Euro at R, only proved further that the woman before him was no ordinary girl. Meanwhile, Yoon shivered, struggling to steady her breath. Every step Taehyung took toward her felt like an impending Euro at T, a crushing weight that made her want to run, yet her feet felt rooted to the floor. Inside the room, the atmosphere shifted into an Yoon's B-degree die trembled violently as Taehyung closed the distance between them, leaving virtually no space left. Her breath caught in her throat, her eyes cast downward, not daring to meet his gaze. Taehyung stopped right in front of her, leaning his face. The subtle yet rich aroma of roses rushed over him, invading his senses. He closed his eyes for a brief moment, S at versus degree R. Ing every breath of fragrance radiating from her B-degree. "I like your scent," Taehyung whispered in a low, heavy voice. His tone carried a subtle tremor. Yoon's heart pounded frantically. Her body instinctively recoiled half a step, but her back immediately hit the large desk behind her. There was no space left to run. All she could do was wrap her arms around herself, trying to shield her body from Taehyung's gaze, sharp, intense, and laced with hidden Euro S. Taehyung opened his eyes, looking down at Yoon from mere inches away. His dark irises reflected something foreign, a mixture of fascination, obsession, and danger. "Behind all that innocence, it turns out you hold something I simply can't ignore," he murmured softly. Yoon held her breath. Gathering what little courage she had left, Yoon suddenly pushed against Taehyung's chest, though her force was virtually meaningless against his frame. "Yes, sir." Her voice trembled. Weren't you going to LL me? Why bring me here and treat me like this? Her eyes glistened with unshed tears, the sheer T-RR degree R painted clearly across her face. Taehyung went still. For a moment before a lopsided smirk formed on his lips, a cynical smile that turned Yoon's body rigid. He smirked, tilting his head down until their faces were breathlessly close. Yoon's small frame was practically swallowed by his shadow. She could feel his warm breath against her face, feeling the last remaining distance between them completely evaporate. Taehyung C micro rs euro d under his breath as the warm sensation of her body pressed against him. Something exploded inside him, an intense drive. B euro he had never felt before, despite having been around countless women. I changed my mind, Taehyung replied in a low, heavy tone. I will spare your life, but. He leaned down, PR euro ss. Ing his lips against the nape of her neck and inhaling the intoxicating scent of her skin. You will s euro rb euro me whenever I want you, he growled softly. Yoon's eyes widened in horror. No, I'd rather you just LL me, she cried out, her entire body shaking violently. I'm not giving you a choice, Yoon. This is an order, Taehyung whispered before T at ing her earlobe between his lips, causing her to freeze. Taehyung let out a suppressed growl. Please, I'm begging you, don't do this, Yoon sobbed, tears spilling over. Don't worry, I'll pay you every month. Just name your price, Taehyung whispered. Yoon shook her head violently, trying in vain to push him away. No, I don't want this. She wept. I told you, this is an order, not a choice. If you keep refusing, you'll find out what I'm capable of doing to your mother. Taehyung paused his movements, lifting his head to glare down at her with a razor-sharp gaze. Do you really want me to G-Euro-TR? D of your mother, Yoon remained silent, staring back at him through a steady stream of tears. Taehyung raised his hand and wiped away her tears with his thumb. If you don't want anything happening to your mother, just stay quiet and enjoy it, he said, his tone turning ice cold and flat. Yoon could no longer find her words. Her tongue went numb, her body turned to stone. All that remained were the tears flowing relentlessly down her cheeks, her shoulders quivering with silent sobs. Her life felt utterly tragic, as if fate itself were punishing her without an ounce of mercy. Taehyung stared at her, only to grow even more captivated by Yoon's vulnerability. The more she cried, the stronger his micro-RG euro to touch her became. Pity had never been a part of him. Without hesitation, Taehyung pulled Yoon's face. His movements were RO micro GH and hurried, as if trying to unleash all the P alpha SS. On he had been holding back. Yoon froze, her body tensing up. Her hands reflexively rose to push against his broad chest, but her strength vanished. Tears streamed down her cheeks, blending with SS. Meanwhile, Taehyung was losing his mind. Yoon's lips tasted sweet, a sensation that clouded his thoughts and drowned his logic. He was no longer a man in control, but someone trapped by his 0BS Euro SS. Degree N with the fragile woman before him. Why does it feel like this? Why is she the only one who can undo me like this? Taehyung's inner voice raged.